Cruella is the third live-action adaptation in the 101 Dalmatians franchise and serves as a prequel and stars Emma Stone, Emma Thompson, Joel Fry, Paul Walter Hauser, Emily Beecham, Mark Strong, and Kirby Howell Baptist, and is directed by Greg Gillespie. And set in 1970s London during the punk rock movement, the film revolves around Emma Stone as Estella Miller, an aspiring fashion designer, as she explores the path that will lead to her becoming a notorious up-and-down coming fashion designer known as Cruella DeVille, and her evil side, of course. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, I would like you all to tell me in the comment section down below what is your favorite live-action Disney remake or adaptation. What did you think of Cruella? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Now, when it comes to Cruella, this was one of my least anticipated movies of 2021. I was not very excited for Cruella at all. I thought that another movie, well, not another 101 Dalmatians movie, just the idea of a Cruella DeVille prequel was a terrible idea, and I thought this would not work very well, even with people like Emma Stone and Emma Thompson, and with a director like Craig Gillespie, who has proven himself to be a very talented director with stuff like I, Tonya and the remake of Friday Night, which I actually enjoyed. But as soon as I heard about a Cruella DeVille movie being in development from Disney, this was my reaction.
Aw, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
But however, even with me being not excited for Cruella, I still wanted to give this movie a fair shake, because there are some live-action Disney remakes I do enjoy of what they've been doing. I do like some more than others. I really like the Jungle Book. The Beauty and the Beast remake, I loved when it came out, but nowadays I think it's okay. But I still watch it. But I'm also one of the few people who liked Mulan 2020. Yes, I will die on the hill on that. I love you. And the Lion King remake from 2019, it was fine, and I don't really much care for Maleficent or Maleficent Mistress of Evil. But in terms of 101 Dalmatians franchise, I very much do like the original classic from back then. I actually have a soft spot for 101 Dalmatians and its sequel 102 Dalmatians. But when the trailers came out, I was intrigued, but I was a little nervous about it because it reminded me of two DC movies that I like. Both controversial, but it reminded me of Joker and Birds of Prey and Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, especially the style and the tone and the look of what they were going for. And I gave the movie for a shake. I did not pay the $30 to watch it. I was able to watch somehow, and there's a lot that I like about Cruella, and there's a lot I didn't like about Cruella, and I want to start off with the good. And easily the best thing in this movie I could easily praise is the acting, starting from Emma Stone herself as Estella, as Cruella DeVille. I liked Emma Stone in this role. She was one of the main reasons why I was interested in watching this movie. You get to know the side of her as that she is a grifter and she wants to be an aspiring fashion designer. And she goes on to be her notorious and dangerous criminal we know and love. And I got a lot of Joker vibes with this character, in the way of her character. Like Arthur Fleck wanting to be the comedian type, and I thought Emma Stone, she sold it very well. I wouldn't say this performance is Oscar worthy, but it is one of her best performances. And while we're on the subject of Emma Stone, I am gonna go ahead and pull up the little tribute, so go right ahead. Also, I think the rest of the cast in this movie does sell it very well. Emma Thompson as Baroness von Hellman. She does a really great job as the narcissistic head of the London fashion, who is the boss of Estella. Joel Fry, Paul Walter Hauser, and Emily Beecham, and Kirby Howard Bustle. Everyone does a really good job, and I really liked Mark Strong in his role. So you have a very strong cast in this movie for the most part. I think they all really do a great job here. There's one character in this movie by the name of Artie, which I could have done without, but the actor I thought did a really good job for it. Also, I will say this, that the visual aesthetic as far as cinematography and production and costume design goes, I think is very, very good. With the $100 million budget, the production designer and costume designer and the cinematographer, usually you expect this to be a dark film, considering the fact this is PG-13, which it uses to its full advantage, but this movie is filled with a lot of colorful vibes, there's a lot of creativity, and there's a lot of effort put into it. So I was very much enthusiastic about that, and I thought production design wise and costume design, cinematography wise, I thought it was very articulately well done. I do feel like the costumes should at least get a awards nomination next year. Also, I do found myself laughing at a lot of points. I very much found myself laughing at a lot of the comedy here. There were some times where I was sitting there laughing and having me a good time. I was enjoying it. Craig Gillespie's direction for Cruella is really good. He's a very talented director. I, Tanya, and his other movies has proven that, and he has an eye for detail in terms of his direction. I think he executed this concept and this story very well, and the soundtrack is also very well done here. You have a good choice of songs, and I very much liked it. I love the score by Nicholas Britell here. And the last positive I will give is I will say I did appreciate what this movie was going for. I very much appreciate what this movie was trying to do in terms of Cruella and Estella making us feel bad for her, and it gave me a lot of Joker vibes though, and a little bit of some degree Birds of Prey vibes with the soundtrack. So I do feel like Craig Gillespie and Disney, they should get some credibility for that, and they did do a good job on trying to do something different with the Cruella de Vil character. And I do appreciate the effort, and I do appreciate the attempt that was made here. So I could definitely give this movie a lot of credit for that. And you do have her with scenario with the dogs, of course. That is to be expected because it's Cruella de Vil and she's a dog killer. They don't go that far, but I will say you do get to get a little taste of that here, and for that I definitely will give credit to where credit is due. Unfortunately for me, even though I like a lot of things in this movie, there are just some things about this movie just that didn't really do much for me here. And one of them I will say is the 2 hour and 14-minute runtime. I feel like you easily could have shaved off 10 to 15 minutes because sometimes this movie in the 10 to 15 minutes, mostly of this movie, there is some stuff in this movie that I found to be pretty boring. Again, while I do appreciate the effort and I do appreciate the writing of the film, which I will say the writing is pretty strong here, I didn't really feel like this movie needs to be 134 minutes. It could easily been even 2 hours or so. Because some of the movie does slows down a little bit. But even when it slowed down, I still thought there was a lot that was good enough. It's just you could tightly down some of the stuff. Some of the stuff could have been left on the cutting room floor. Also, there is some of the decisions that they decide to go with this backstory does go a little bit too weird in a lot of areas, which the whole thing with Estella and Emma Thompson's character being her mother and biological mother, and the whole. I didn't really like most of that. It was interesting for the most part, but it got to after a while, it just got to a point like you're trying too hard. You just could easily just you looked at Joker and just did that and respected it. Yeah, also there was some of the things in this movie that was a little devilish that caught me a little bit off guard here, especially for PG-13, because there is some things that Cruella does do and with her thieves that's a little bit messed up. And while it is to be expected, I did appreciate it. It just got a little bit ridiculous. But I still found some of this to be a lot of enjoyable. I didn't hate myself watching it. I I was intrigued for the most part. It's just those little things did get to me here, and also there was moments in here where some of the humor wasn't really that funny, and there was also some characters here that I thought was severely underutilized, and not to mention when it gets to a point, it did go into a little bit of that Joker territory, which I get why some people are praising the movie for, but for me, I thought Joker did it a lot better. Even Birds of Prey did some of this a little bit better. Even though I know a lot of people hate both of those movies, but I'm just saying I kind of prefer Joker and Birds of Prey to this. But a lot of things that they were trying to go with for Cruella, I did appreciate, and at the end of the day, I do have to commend them for doing that. So it's not like I was sitting there angry at the movie. It's just that there were some parts here that lost my interest. If you catch my drift. In the end of the day, Cruella, this is a bit of a mixed bag. It's not the best live action Disney remake, but it's definitely not the worst one. As far as the live action Disney remakes, this is right in the middle for me. There's things in this movie I appreciate, like Emma Stone and the costumes and the direction and the visual flair and the soundtrack, but there's also a lot of things in this movie I really just don't like here. And I would say if you are a Cruella de Vil fan or a 101 Dalmatians fan, I would say give it a shot. But just know who you are going into this movie. That's all I can say. If you've been interested from the start about Cruella de Vil, I would say give it a watch. It's worth the shot, and it's worth seeing in theaters. It's not worth paying $30 on Disney Plus for, but it's worth seeing. But Cruella, it didn't upset me. I just felt like you could have done a little bit better in the negative aspects. But I still enjoyed Cruella. It's not going to end up in my worst movies of the year, unlike a certain movie coming out in October. And we know what that's going to be. But at the end of the day, I will say Cruella, you can stream this thing. It's when it's free on Disney Plus. So that was my audio review for Cruella. I do apologize if this was a little late. Had to deal with some personal stuff. But in the comment section down below, what did you think of Cruella? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere in the middle? All my social media links are in the description box down below. You guys keep it cool. Join the Epictasticness, and I'll see you in the next video.